Hello and welcome to Plymouth Hoe, famous as the place where Sir Francis Drake finished his game of bowls before sailing out to encounter the Spanish Armada.
No such luxury for today's 8 artists who have a strict 4 hours in which to complete their painting of this stunning landscape.
So, since time and tide wait for no man, let's get on with the competition. It's a brand new series of Landscape Artist of the Year.
Over the coming weeks, we're travelling the length and breadth of Great Britain and pitching our pods at some of the most remarkable, challenging and exhilarating scenes.
This is a bit of a gift for you today.
Couldn't be better, could it, aren't I?
Are you pleased?
Yeah, delighted.
From breathtaking fairy tale castles to awe-inspiring engineering marvels.
The view is spectacular, so I really want to do it justice.
Throughout the competition, 48 gifted artists will be challenged to capture these truly glorious vistas in their own unique style. The way you're swinging that brush, I'm going to get out of the way.
Yes, right.
The artists are competing for a sensational prize, a £10,000 commission to paint a scene in Venice to celebrate the bicentenary of the art critic John Ruskin.
But first, they'll encounter strict scrutiny from our 3 judges. Art historian Kate Bryan, independent curator Kathleen Soriano, and award-winning artist Taishan Schierenberg.
That is exciting and also scary for us, but hey.
Great. I'm glad that you're terrified too.
At every location, an extra 50 wildcard artists will be trying their luck to go through to the next stage of the competition, whatever the weather.
Seemed pointless using an umbrella, seeing everyone else's blow away.
So batten down the hatches and hold on to your hats as we begin the search for the Landscape Artist of the Year.
Hoping to claim a place in the semi-final today are 6 professional artists. Dante Turner, Zosha Olenska, Kathy Reddy, Andrew Wykes, Lisa Turner and William Balthazar Rose.
I paint usually in a very private way. But it is time to go public with my art.
And taking them on are 2 plucky amateurs, Tony Munns and Maggie O'Keefe.
Apparently, if I tell my brain I'm excited, it will see myself as being excited rather than really nervous. So I'm trying to do that, but I know I'm lying.
All of the artists were selected based on a piece of artwork they submitted online. So today, the judges get their first chance to scrutinise the real things. Good morning, judges. Since we're at the seaside, it seems appropriate to start with some fish and chips.
It's like a little Edward Hopper scene, you know, the person alone at their work, the fantastic long shadows of the ketchup bottles. You can smell the grease of the chips, you can smell the brine of the sea. It feels like you're really there.
We're used to people reacting to the landscapes, trying to get the right colour or tone, and here somebody's physically reacting, but in a very sort of unusual way. So we have these tracings of their emotions as they react to the landscape over the whole thing, which gives it this frenetic energy, which is quite fascinating. I really liked the construction of it, the way your eyes led across the bridge to the factory buildings and then blocked out by the foliage. It's very well balanced.
Yeah. I'm pleasantly surprised by the scale of this, and so it means that everything I liked about it, almost like more, the sort of undone figures are even more undone because actually their legs are just formed of one big rectangle of paint, just to give you that sense.
And another bridge here, but less of it.
Less of everything, really, and that's the charm of this piece, is that they've foregrounded the angle of the bridge through which we actually see this tiny little landscape.
So, Bali.
When we think of a landscape, we think you've got to see as far as the eye can see for miles, and actually this person's reminding us that a landscape is also in the micro. You need to sit amongst Bali and be really entranced by all these amazing patterns and geometry that you can find within nature. Is it South America somewhere?
It's Lima.
Lima.
Lima in Peru.
Everything's on the off. The road is slightly off. I love the buildings in the background being slightly off and tumbling down and falling into each other. And that gives you a sort of really strong sense of tension, but it's all rooted by these wires that sit across the top and somehow keep everything under control. It's got a really, it buzzes, this painting.
I like the format of this. You really get the spread of the bay, but I really like the colour, the tonality that seem to emanate from the sculpture, the grubby greens. You find them echoed in the trees and in the sort of this weird, dirty sea. So it's all of a tonal quality, and it works.
And our final landscape today, but it's in North America. That sky is incredibly blue.
What I really like about it is the use of red in the noise of green. It sits underneath the dark bushes and makes your eyes sort of travel across really nicely, and it breaks up all that incredible range of greens very quietly but very effectively.
So we've got landscapes from all around the world. Let's see how they cope with Plymouth.
Capturing Plymouth, it seems, requires an entire studio's worth of kit.
I decided to bring just about everything. It's compact packing.
And apparently some from the kitchen.
I'm very interested in connection between cooking and painting. And so I've this is my experiment, that I've actually come as a chef. And I've got my hat on for you. Et voila.
Artists, I hope you have everything you need to create a masterful work of art as your challenge is about to begin.
You have 4 hours to complete your painting, and your time starts now.
Each in their own way, the artists get to grips with the vista before them. Today, our artists are looking out over the mouth of the River Plym, with the yacht harbour in the distance, and in the foreground, the unmissable landmark of Smeaton's Tower.
We've got a great view today. We've got a cracking lighthouse in the middle of their scene, this amazing pop of colour that they're going to have to deal with. They've also got the headland, there's the sea, and there's lots of people around. It's Landscape Artist of the Year, so that means we have a very big personality to contend with, and that is, of course, the British weather. So it could start raining, the blue sky could disappear. I think they just need to lock their composition down early. Then if they can do that, they might be able to beat this challenge, because actually it's a pretty tricky one coming to the seaside.
But one artist is utterly undaunted by today's challenge.
The strategy for today is to start off with a very quick acrylic painting covering all the way over, looking very carefully for tonalities that I see in the view in front of me, and I want to accomplish that in about an hour.
Andrew Wykes, a professor of art at Hamline University in Minnesota, loves to paint trees, as demonstrated in his submission, which depicts his local park. To capture today's view, he's decided to go extra wide. And that's 3 boards?
It's 3 little panels, yeah.
Did you know that was going to be how you're going to approach it today?
Well, originally I thought maybe I'll do a square, and then when I saw what was in front of me, I realised it really needs to be a very long kind of view, with perhaps the lighthouse in it, but if it is going to go in it, it would be to the far left as some kind of foreground structure.
And I see already you haven't been going long. There's paint on your hands, the hat's seen a bit of paint. Are
you're
going to be quite a grubby painter, right?
Definitely. Oh, very messy.
We're going to have to hose you down at the end of the day.
It's not a technique, it's just me. I'm just messy. I'm just disorganised.
Okay, well, the way you're swinging that brush, I'm going to get out of the way.
Yes, right.
One artist is taking a much more abstract approach.
I am doing a mindful drawing. I'll close my eyes and get focused and listen to the sounds and just respond to those sounds with marks. So if there's a bird going like that, I might go like this on the paper. If I draw blind, it always comes out better than trying to make a great drawing. Yeah, I need to just be brave and trust the process.
Amateur artist Maggie O'Keefe is a children's play worker who, after attending a mindfulness retreat 5 years ago, rediscovered a love of painting. Her semi-abstract submission was created from memory using mixed media and depicts one of her regular heights in the Yorkshire moors.
Maggie, you're really kind of like tuned into the environment that you're in, but not with your eyes.
Yes.
We think of painting as just a purely visual activity.
Yes, so I want to bring in the other senses to be more mindful about what's happening. And I like abstract, so it helps send the painting into the abstract realm.
What about our friend the Lighthouse?
It's out of, I can't see the lighthouse.
Okay, you've decided not to see the lighthouse.
If it was right in front of me, it would be the main character, I guess.
But instead
it's
we've
not.
got this fantastic sky.
Yeah.
Well, it's a lovely start. I really like your process. I think we could all do with a bit of tuning into the sound of this landscape today. So I might try and go and do that myself.
Yeah, I recommend it.
But it seems not everyone's been seduced by the tranquility of the seaside.
It's blue, flat, just like one big feature that you can't really ignore. And yeah, honestly, it's about the worst thing I could think of to paint. I would never have chosen it.
Self-taught professional artist Zosha Olenska gave up commercial illustration to pursue a career in fine art. Her submission of Barnes Bridge in London was created to produce a river painting with no river in it. It's a compositional device she's using today.
I think it's super clever, actually, that you've avoided that large open expanse and you found a tiny little crevice there. It really does look like a window. It's almost like you've drawn... I was wondering if you've drawn the side of the pod.
I have drawn the side of the pod. I like pictures when you kind of have to fill in a little bit more of it themselves. So I think giving you a little bit of sea means that, you know, if you had a day out with the beach, you'll hopefully be thinking about that when you're looking at it.
Do you go into the detail towards the end?
Usually I do a really detailed pencil drawing to start with, but actually all the details really, like, it's in that harbour behind the lighthouse here. So I guess I think I'll probably leave that till last in terms of ad hoc strategy. I don't know.
Well, that's very exciting.
You've got no game plan?
No game plan.
Oh, my goodness, no game plan.
That is exciting and also scary for us, but hey.
Great. I'm glad that you're terrified too. That's brilliant.
Our 8 hopefuls aren't the only artists on Plymouth Hoe today.
Go wait!
50 wildcards have come along to have their go at capturing the view across Plymouth Sound.
I like the colours in the water in the buoys. Quite grey and grim, but there's nice colours in there to bring out.
The ultimate victory is to catch the judges' eyes and be in the running to gain a place in the semi-final.
I'm looking forward to chatting to the judges because it's nice to hear different opinions on your work.
You're not rubbing it already, are you? What do you mean? You can't be rubbing it.
It really is lovely, isn't it? I mean, if you do rubbish painting, it don't really matter, does it? Because you've been looking at that for 4 hours. So it'll be a nice day, whatever, I think, won't it?
A short distance along the seafront are our 8 pod artists.
And as the good old British weather begins to make its presence felt, one artist has a big decision to make.
The sky keeps moving. For 10 minutes, it's perfectly crystal clear. Then there's clouds. Now there's a mist and a fog coming in. So I'm not sure what to do with the sky, how to tackle that. Do I make it look sunny or do I make it look like it is now, moody and misty and something more like Turner would have done?
No stranger to working en plein air, Cathy Reddy took part in Landscape Artist of the Year 2017, creating a lino cut of Knaresborough Bowling Green. She specialises in prints depicting Irish agriculture, as seen in her submission this year.
It was a barley crop at home on the farm, and it was more environmentally friendly. And that particular day that I decided to make a print of it, I was out walking through the field and my father was beginning to harvest it with a combine. So I took a picture on my phone. I came back an hour later and was trying to sketch it before he cut all of it away. I suppose I wanted to commemorate that crop on the farm because I'm always trying to commemorate what the farmer does in the landscape. So, you know, the barley was there, now it's gone 15 minutes later. So as the farmer makes a mark in the landscape, I try to make a mark in the lino to replicate what they're doing.
OK, what do you make of this landscape?
It's absolutely fabulous. It's a real monumental landscape. You've got this man-made fixture of the lighthouse in contrast with the cliffs. I absolutely love it. It's big, it's bold, there's so much you can do with it.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how that develops. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
With an hour of the challenge already gone, there's no sign of the weather settling.
Because the light is constantly changing out there, It takes a lot closer study at the hues and tonalities of things.
I was delighted when the clouds came over and it started to rain, and I just thought, yay, something to follow, because that's kind of what those marks are, me following the clouds.
The weather's changing so quickly, and by having the pod in, I think it's framed it in a way that at least I'm concentrating on a smaller part of the canvas. So it's less to go wrong, hopefully.
Here on Plymouth Hoe, 8 competitive artists have already spent an hour creating their landscapes. They're contending with a hard-to-ignore lighthouse and fluctuating meteorology.
Well, you're lucky you're sheltered from the rain, that's what it's saying.
How have you found dealing with the weather?
Terrible.
Terrible, ¿por qué?
It's different because 20 minutes is sunny and 20 minutes is raining and cloudy. I think I had to change during the day, I think.
So very good idea that you've gone small.
Yes, because can I, for example, put the raining in that area and maybe a little bit sunny here because it looks more interesting.
Professional artist Dante Turner likes to depict spaces altered by humanity, as seen in his submission of Lima in his native Peru. It captures the divide between wealthy candidates and their poor electorate during elections.
In your painting submission, we had so much detail and busyness with all the buildings behind.
Yes.
You've gone for something that's completely, almost empty here.
Yeah.
Where are you going to get that detail in?
I think I'm going to get the details with the boats, los barquitos.
Barquitos.
The buildings behind.
¿Y cómo que no tenemos el farol?
I think it's quite big from here. We are too close, I think.
Too dominating.
Too dominating. It's going to take some more part of the canvas, I think.
Fantastic. Come back later.
Okay.
Soon. Good luck.
Thank you.
So you've given us a lovely, pretty lighthouse, boats bobbing in the harbour. Just need a puppy in the foreground. And we've got the full house of Ty's delight. How do you deal with the view we've given them without it becoming twee?
Luckily, we've got the weather.
Yes.
Which has been a total nightmare, really, with the weather changing this quickly and this frequently.
So as the weather changes frantically, should an artist just decide, I'm going with the overcast look, or I'm going with the blue sky in the background look, and stick with it? Or should they try and respond second by second?
Each of the elements we've given them, the lighthouse, the headland, the sea, in any given weather condition, it becomes more beautiful or less beautiful. And if you can combine all the best elements in the best weather conditions, you could get a very interesting, vibrant painting. But, you know, it's a competition. And I'm hoping the artists take advantage of what the changing weather sometimes gives them. There's some absolutely beautiful light effects. And if they're good, they'll find them.
What I don't want to do is just a picture of the obvious, which is the lighthouse. It's not a picture of a lighthouse, it's obviously a picture of a place and a location. So what I've got is the viewpoint slightly higher than ground level that actually embraces everything into a sort of coherent and well-managed picture.
Amateur artist Tony Munns is a graphic designer whose love of the seaside is apparent in his acrylic submission of an imagined scene. He wanted to create the familiarity of fish and chips on a pier at the end of a summer's day.
Tony, I can't help but think this view is a bit of a gift for you today. There was a kind of charming seaside nostalgia, Hopper-esque quality to your submission. Yep. And here, look at this. I mean, it's...
Couldn't be better, could it, aren't I?
Are you pleased?
Yeah, delighted. But having said that, this has its own challenges. It's obviously a huge 180-degree almost sort of landscape. It's got all these different components in it, which are, none of them are really tied together. They're all sort of disparate bits and pieces and different styles, different colours, different shapes. And I was also slightly concerned about the magnitude of that feature versus you know, everything else, really. So
yeah, because it's a game of scale, isn't it?
It is,
you
yeah.
can see so far away. This is really, really wide, and this is actually a really enormous vertical structure which kind of dissects the whole thing.
Yeah, so with that in mind, I thought if I went to a sort of higher viewpoint...
Yeah, that seems... It's almost like you're a drone above the area that we're in.
It's my way of bringing the components together in
Yeah.
a sort of a believable form.
And so is the lighthouse coming to life after lunch or before lunch?
Probably after lunch at this rate, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, in between the rain showers.
The lighthouse is so huge from where I'm sat, but it seems unkind to not represent it. I really want to get it all in.
Originally from Cheshire, art teacher Lisa Turner likes to paint places she visits with her children. Her panoramic submission is based on a photo of Ilfracombe Bay, taken when the family went to see Damien Hirst's famous statue, Verity.
You've just turned the Verity piece that you submitted on its side, haven't you? You've got a tall vertical, but weirdly you've chosen not to embrace that sort of rolling hillside that you had in Ilfracombe.
Yes. I didn't feel she was as dominant in that landscape as that is. It's right up into the sky, isn't it?
It is.
I felt like I really wanted to use that.
And from a proportions, you have made it smaller, haven't you?
Yes.
Because I can see with that first band of red, that's sitting above the hilltops there, but you've put it way below to sort of contain it almost.
Yeah. I mean, it is dominant, but I didn't want it to be as dominant as that because it would just be sort of, that's a lighthouse. And I wanted a bit more going on. It's always a gamble, but I'm hoping.
Gamble in a competition, that's the way.
And it's high stakes for another artist who's adopted an unconventional strategy.
Have you come from another job? What's with the chef's outfit?
Well, I just wanted to crawl into the mind of a chef.
Is it a performance art kind of thing going on?
I try to resist categorizing myself.
I see.
Because I feel that, you know, one of the jobs an artist has is to try different things. So I'm trying different things because I think it expands the possibilities.
William Balthazar Rose has been a professional artist for more than 30 years, dividing his time between Italy and Somerset. His oil on canvas submission is of Bath Bridge and is a far cry from his usual paintings of cooks.
And you brought along some food.
Yeah.
Were you worried about our catering?
You know, I want to play with all this stuff. It's fun. The shell's very nice. You're welcome to touch it.
It's for you.
Thank you. Hello, hello, hello. Oh, yes, well, we've got to have a better serious conversation now, don't we? Now, look, what? You hung up on me. Blast you!
Meanwhile, exposed to the ever-erratic elements and with their typical can-do attitude, are our 50 wildcard artists.
Are you used to painting outdoors?
I do paint outdoors a fair bit, really.
Would you pick a day like today normally, though?
Well, I live in Norway and I paint in Norway. This is kind of bog standard. Maybe not so much with the wind, but the rain definitely.
Yeah. OK, so you're pretty hardy.
So you arrived this morning with lots of vegetation. What did you bring?
Right, so today I've got preserved moss.
So this has been treated so that it won't decay, is that right?
Yeah, so it won't, all what you need to do, just keep away from water.
Right.
And keep away from sunlight.
What are you going to do if it rains?
Well, I think I'm prepared. I've got 5 umbrellas.
Probably just as well, because only 5 minutes later, the weather turns yet again.
It's a bit frustrating with the weather. Every 5 minutes chucks it down, so it's not making it easy.
Oh, that's gothic and moody. Oh, like the day. But you're persevering. You deserve a drink and a warm bath at the end of the day.
It's only a bit of rain, isn't it, you know?
Oh, having great fun. Something to remember. Woohoo!
Do you often paint in these conditions?
If I count this time, this will be the first.
Right.
The reward for their dogged determination, the chance to win a place in the semi-final.
Halfway through the challenge, and some of our artists have reached a crucial stage in their landscape.
This is where it can get a bit tricky and sticky to try and figure out now how to pull out the painting from what I've got.
I'm trying to get the kind of moody, misty weather here that we're getting at the moment. So trying to get that to come across in a line-up print is quite difficult because it is a medium quite set in stone. I can't put washes of paint or anything.
I think the thing that's concerning me is that it just looks really unresolved and like a bit vague. And it should be a bit tighter. Maybe I'll manage to pull it together.
It's a bit nail-biting, it's a bit risky, and I think it should be risky. That's what painting is.
Eight artists are halfway through their challenge to capture the breathtaking view from blustery Plymouth Hoe. And with only 2 hours left, it's action stations all round.
What's the next phase?
Pencil.
Right.
Gonna do some sketching on top of it.
Okay.
Maybe tighten it up a bit.
Right.
Maybe look at it a bit. Maybe
Okay.
make some noises about looking at it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just working on the cliffs here at the moment. So your wrist gets really, really sore. So I suppose a lot of printmakers suffer for their art.
My main concern is to merge with what is out there. These are my ingredients, this is the meal, and I am the one who's going to translate it.
Battling through the inclement weather, the judges have been keeping a close eye on the artists all morning, but retire to a more sheltered spot to review their progress so far.
What do you feel about the gift of a lighthouse to an artist? Isn't it a little obvious?
Well, the lighthouse is very obvious, and I think most of them have been very inventive in trying to accommodate it.
Now, William Balthazar, I think his painting is almost as showy as he is himself.
I think his painting's rather good. So it's a pity it's sort of being obscured by this performance. But the way he puts the paint on has got a certain textural quality that is very reminiscent of his submission, and I think is going somewhere.
I disagree. I think there's a lot of sensitivity and sort of poetry in the submission that we're not getting today. I don't know if it's because he's used those quite chalky colours, the blues and the whites.
OK. Zosha.
I love the fact that it's as if you're looking through a window. I like the fact that it's on the slant. It gives it a little bit of tension.
I love the orange she's chosen because, of course, this red and white banding is very obvious, and by changing the tone slightly, it's very delicate but very strong.
OK, Kathy.
I love a tondo. We haven't had many in the competition ever. This circular format, you have to make very intelligent choices. And, of course, if you're making lino cut, you have to make exceptionally good choices early on.
Everyone is dealing with the sky, which is either blue or grey or raining. Anyone with paint can change it at all times. If you're doing lino cut, it's once forever.
Yeah, but she's very, very highly skilled with those very dangerous weapons that she has surrounding her.
Maggie.
What is fascinating to me with Maggie's work is there's something in the line that I know it's authentic. So each line, although it's just layered and you think this is going willy-nilly, there is a real sense of something important going on. My problem is when it comes to something more solid like the headland, it's suddenly not sitting in space properly. And I hope that she finds a way of anchoring that into a realistic space.
Now, Andrew.
The work feels a little bit messy at the moment. It hasn't coalesced yet, and maybe that's something that happens towards the end. But it feels like something you like.
I love it. He's using the red, so even through the paint, he can still see where the drawing is, but he understands also, of course, that aesthetic looks very beautiful. But there's a vitality to his painting, which I think is fantastic.
Are you telling me you like him because he paints like you do?
Not quite like me, but like my teacher.
While Plymouth's coastline provides a picturesque vista for today's visiting artists, in the summer of 1815 it played host to one particularly notorious visitor. After his defeat at the Battle of Waterloo, Napoleon surrendered on board the Royal Navy's HMS Bellerophon on the 15th of July. After sailing to Plymouth, she lay anchored in the harbour for 2 weeks as the French Emperor's future was decided.
It's really hard to imagine that you would have somebody that had been defeated in war, that had caused a lot of death, a lot of grief, and then you bring them to Plymouth, where he parades himself on deck of the ship, and everybody wanted to see him.
Amongst the crowd were journalists and artists eager to capture the subject of a lifetime. One of them was the young Plymouth-born painter Charles Locke Eastlake. The ambitious 21-year-old drew his boat alongside the Bellerophon just as the man who'd struck such fear into the hearts of the British public was taking a walk on deck.
Eastlake was sketching Napoleon, and Napoleon obviously clocked this and asked to see some of the sketches. Napoleon allowed him to take his jacket and various other bits of his apparel back to his studio in High Street so they could get the detailing absolutely right on his outfit.
Eastlake's portrait of Napoleon is one of the most famous paintings of the extraordinary events of July 1815. And it was the start of a glittering career, which eventually saw Eastlake appointed as the first director of the National Gallery.
All thanks to a chance meeting with one of the most infamous Frenchmen of all time that took place here in Plymouth Sound.
With a resilience fitting for an area rich in naval history, 50 wildcards have battled through what Mother Nature has thrown at them. And they come out the other end, still smiling.
It seemed pointless using an umbrella, seeing everyone else's blow away. I mean, I love the painting, but I'm more concerned about the state of your knees. Are your legs really that wet right the way through?
Right the way down to my socks.
Oh, my goodness.
Amazing. You've done that in one day. Fantastic.
Are you with each other, or have you just met?
We aren't. No, we've been with each other for a long time.
Oh, I see. OK. Married?
Yes.
Yes. And you've decided to come out to sunny Plymouth?
To end it all.
So which artist has done enough to be in the running for a place in the semi-final?
I've seen some quite good paintings considering the
I
crazy
have.
weather.
Very
I've seen
good.
lots I like, yeah.
The woman with beautiful, big, portrait, upright, very warm, yellow, colourful piece. I want to be in that version of today. But next to her, a few doors down, is the guy who's really put a really beautiful painting together there.
Well constructed and well finished for the weather and the time.
Yeah.
OK, the weather gets it, or the one who beat the weather gets it. I think you've done a rather good painting. We think you've done a rather good painting today.
Blimey.
And congratulations,
Oh,
you're
my
on.
good night.
Well,
I think I'm a bit giddy, really. I think I'm going to go into shock. Maybe it's a bit too soon, but gin and tonic might cure that.
John O'Neill from Reading will enter a pool of wildcard winners from all the heats, from which one will be selected for a place in the semi-final.
Further up the Hoe, our 8 artists are into their final hour.
I'll probably put a bit of thicker paint on here and there. I need to work on this headland.
I'm feeling quite panicky, just a little panicky, because I know that I'm not going to pull off something that is going to be great, you know, but hopefully it's going to work.
I carved most of the fine details, so I'm happy enough. But yeah, I don't know how my little line of cut stands up to all these fabulous paintings.
Oh God, I'm still worried it's really twee. I've put some more drab colours on it since I had a bit of a panic, and hopefully that will tone it down a little bit. Hand of the gods.
Here on windswept Plymouth Hoe, our 8 artists are nearing the end of their 4-hour challenge.
Artist, you have 5 minutes left. 5 minutes.
Oh God. 5 minutes.
While most of the seascapes are nearing completion, one hasn't even appeared yet.
Your first print?
Yeah.
So it's a heart-stopping moment.
Yeah.
Because we haven't got long to go, have we?
No.
I don't want to freak you out, but we're into the last few minutes.
This is my main worry.
And you get one chance to connect the two.
One, two.
Wow.
Trying to just stay focused and get round the whole painting.
We need to get some detail here and there without overdoing it.
I think, oh, I've got to do that, got to do that, got to do it here, there, and everywhere.
To really make it work, I would probably need another 2 hours.
Artists, you have 1 minute left. Uno minuto.
Oh, my God.
That's still enough time to ruin it, you know?
Stop the clock, somebody.
Artists, your time is up.
Put down your work and stand away from your easel.
Well done. How was it? Right.
How was yours?
Well, this is what it is.
While the artists take a well-deserved break, the judges review the 8 completed landscapes.
I think William Balthasar clearly knows what he's doing. The way he's given the lighthouse a rounded form by really subtle variations in the colour.
I like the way he puts on the paint very dryly, very thickly, which makes it very painterly. And the sky, there's some marks in there where you just wonder what's going on, and it sort of jumps forward.
Joshua's given us a fantastically colourful snapshot of today. The way in which he's used this device, which is modelled on the pod, really gives us a thrust into that focal point over there, but still so much energy and dynamism in that sky.
What I particularly like is Tony's use of this elevated position. We're almost floating above as we look across the bay. I find his painting technique a bit sort of underdeveloped in the landscape, but I can see he was getting close to that sort of strange, nostalgic feeling he had in Submission.
We've got this fantastic tondo. I love the off-kilter lighthouse. It feels very exact, and at the same time that a lot of it's drawn from her imagination somehow.
And the fact that everything's flipped, it makes me sort of spend more time trying to renegotiate the landscape that I've been looking at outside.
Andrew's choice of this very thin composition works very well. We get the immensity of the day without being overwhelmed by huge expanses of sky and sea.
One of the things I find a bit distracting is that he tidied it up, and he's tidied, and then it just looks like he's shoved loads of stuff in the cupboard. That doesn't look properly tidied to me. It's not quite resolved.
I think Lisa was wrong in choosing this small size of a canvas. She needed more space that way.
I think the verticality could have worked better if Lisa left some of the background undone.
I think Dante needed to tighten up rather than loosen up. What I really liked about his submission was that tightness of focus. And here it's a little bit too wishy-washy for me.
Maggie left out the lighthouse, so we're seeing a slightly different take from all the others who are pretty lighthouse-centric.
But that headland, I don't find, is sitting in that space. And I wondered whether maybe if she had brought in the lighthouse, it would have been a way of anchoring us in the foreground and giving us that space.
The judges must now whittle the 8 artists down to 3.
I mean, this looks really strong, despite the fact that it's so different. It's looking really strong.
I have to say, this one, which I wasn't so sure about before, I like the sort of softness of the colour, but I keep on going back to this one. I know it's a little bit dirty, but I like it.
I love that one.
I think the composition is interesting and some of the colour choices are wonderful.
But it's a good top 3, isn't it? Look, how the diversity.
Artists, thank you for joining us today. You've all been magnificent.
But unfortunately, only 3 of you can make it onto the judges' shortlist. The first artist the judges have selected is Zosha Olenska.
The second artist on the shortlist is Kathy Reddy.
The third artist is Andrew Wykes.
Our commiserations to the rest of you. You've all done admirable work, and thank you for sharing it with us. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I feel a little bit sad to not be carrying on the journey. It's very exciting to be here, but overall I'm very pleased. It was a wonderful day. I'm very happy with how it went for me.
There can only be one winner to go through to the semi-final, so the judges take into consideration the submitted artwork to help them decide.
Well, judges, we've had wind and we've had rain, and we have very different impressions of what it's been like to be here today.
We gave them a pretty confronting view. The lighthouse is not to be messed with. I mean, it's very vertical, it's very stripy, and yet we've got three very different interpretations. I think it's really exciting to see that.
But three consistent artists. They've brought what we picked them for and kept that language going. It's quite extraordinary because it was a difficult view to tackle, and they've done it all in their own inimitable ways.
So let's talk about each artist one by one. How about Zosha's work today?
What Zosha does really, really effectively is use a device like a window for us to look through. In her submission, it's the frame of the bridge, but here in the work that she did today, it's the side of the pod. It's very effective.
She obviously spent a lot of time on her submission. We see lots of detail, lots of painstaking window panes. She didn't have the time to do that today, but she gave us the same sort of effect of really throwing the eye into the distance of scale. And it's impressive to see that she can do it in a slightly different way.
Kathy's given us another elegant lino cut.
I'm impressed. Kathy's close-up barley heads. I just didn't know how she was going to move from that close-up to this space and the monumental lighthouse. And she's given us something that is inventive, and it all sits very beautifully together, and it's very punchy. She, you know, considering she's up against paintings with thick paint on them or colour on them, it really stands its ground.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be brave to come and make prints on landscape artists, especially on a day like today with this weather. And I think Kathy was doubly brave because she didn't use colour. And this really strong, monochromatic work really stands up against the others.
Andrew knows what he's doing.
Andrew is very clever, I think, to take that bottom section of the lighthouse and plonk it in that left-hand side and sort of allow it to weight down the entire composition.
This is a very exaggerated panorama. He kept enough of the lighthouse in that we understood what it was, and he allowed that colour to inform the headland in the background. And he did that really effectively in his submission. But I think he has a really sensitive understanding of colour.
Well, we've had a great day by the lighthouse, but this is the calm before the storm, because you judges now need to train your beam on just one of these artists.
Very good.
I'm here all week.
Zosha, Kathy, Andrew, each of you has displayed remarkable talent, but sadly, only one can go forward.
The judges have made their decision, and the artist they have chosen is... Kathy Reddy.
Well done, well done. Well done.
Shocked. I'm still shaking, like, with my hands. I can't believe it. All those paintings were amazing, such beautiful works of art, but my little lino cut was able to win. I'm shocked.
I was really impressed by what Kathy pulled off today. You see in the decisions she's made that she's done this for quite a while now. She's moved away from the traditional printmaking lino cut languages that I've seen so often before. And she's really developing her own language and her own equivalents. You know, to make a tree, a lighthouse, a bay, and translate it into black and white in a way that hasn't been done before, that's quite an achievement. And I'm really looking forward to see how she reacts to what we give her next time.
It feels amazing. Happy to have a print win for once and not a painting.